So what's the purpose of a genetic disorder?
And inherited genetic disorders as well,
Yeah.
like sickle cell.
Yeah, we wanted to ask about that before, didn't we?
Yeah.
Experience is given for the purpose of experience. The soul knows exactly what experience is to be experienced before entering into the earth plane. However, the disorder that you are communicating about is simply just a physical expression. It is a physical expression that will ultimately heal itself, because we are not the physical identity. Once the exploration within the physical body has concluded in awareness beyond itself as the identity being simply a vessel of experience and the awareness being the identity, then all physical ailments end, all genetic disorder ends. For the identity in physical body reflects the consciousness that is being explored within the mind. The mind is a program of conscious thought and non-conscious thought, and the soul is choosing continuously whether to be non-conscious or conscious. In the choice to be non-conscious, the non-conscious identity as physical body responds to the mind, and the mind is exploring all aspects of polarity in ill health and disease, and in exceptional health, and in the awareness of excitement, and in the awareness of boredom. We are all programming the creative consciousness in every thought that we accept as identity. And as the soul rises through this program of exploration and allows the awareness to be seen as identity, the exploration in physical body becomes much more harmonious. All will be healed, because suffering is a purpose that is within the mental layers of mind as a mind-body experience. The awareness of identity beyond physical body and beyond mind-body means that the suffering experience stops. There is no point in suffering once the identity is an awareness of suffering. And in that relationship between body state and mind, in the awareness of it, we can self-heal all genetic disorder. There is some aspect of genetic disorder that is being given to explore purposefully, so that the physical body can respond with an awareness of, hey, we are not this. And in that conclusion, in that awareness of identity, the whole planetary system is engaged in much higher creative conscious light.
So it's about recognizing that you are not your sickness.
Exactly.
And once you fully recognize that you are not your sickness, the sickness will subside.
In space and in time, across the generations of humanity, yes.
Okay. It's a bit like earlier on when Kath was saying that if somebody's tailgating you and then you decide that you're not going to be affected by what was it you said?
I say if you accept everything, the tailgating, you accept it all as perfect. Accept it with love. Accept that this is what's meant to be. This is what's meant to be happening. It's what you're meant to experience, and have no desire to change it. Then it changes.
Exactly.
So, what is happening when mast cells? No, not mast cells. Sorry. Stem cells are taken from one person and donated to another. So, for example, stem cells from an embryo or stem cells from bone marrow, when they're introduced into the body of somebody who has a disease or a genetic disorder, and the body, that body that was ill then becomes well. What's going on with that?
That is another brilliant question. Thank you. And in these questions we are exploring much. We can answer that with great light and with great pleasure. Thank you. The understanding of self is being explored in all aspects of nature, in all aspects of creation, and in all aspects of physical body. When a stem cell is identified with, a soul can interact and heal the physical body in many different ways, for the stem cell itself carries the genetic coding to self-explore beyond all physical identity. The understanding of this is beyond the current intellectual thinking and will become apparent in time. And when the stem cell understanding of soul has been identified and the identification of stem cell has begun in true spirit of identity, not one that holds much to conclude that humanity are playing at God, but one that will allow humanity to rise into the God conscious that they truly are, they can understand from that platform that the stem cell is part of the magnificent program that allows that to occur. The soul can, in many different ways, be involved with any physical cell. It can project as a tiny subatomic particle in a physical body just as easily as it can in a tiny subatomic particle in a speck of dust. There is no difference. In a conscious sense, the self-identity is expanding into all and everything because the understanding of conscious self is expanding. The stem cell is simply part of that program, and the more that science delivers upon the investigations that are being presented within the intellectual mind, the questions that are being asked to be answered within the intellectual mind, the more that humanity rise in awareness through the conclusion of self as higher than the stem cell in identity.
Why are stem cells found in bone marrow?
Stem cells are part of the physical body. They are given to all that we are in physical body in order to explore the progressive physical state of genetic mutation. And when the stem cells are utilized to use a physical body more and more and more, they will, in time and space, respond with love to that question. In the current state of awareness in physical form, the stem cells in the bone marrow are simply waiting to be discovered, waiting to be understood further. The coding, the genetic sequence of morphism that we are to experience will allow the stem cell to be explored in time and in space. But currently there are no programmed responses to that question because the experience has not been had. If we were to provide answers to all that is to be experienced in future moments of now at this time, then experience becomes devoid of any form of purpose. So we feed information at a gradual level of intellectual development, but also at a space and time moment that is perfect to allow the awareness rise. As with previous discussion, if all was revealed in one particular aspect of identity, in one physical body, in one moment of time, the results would be far too overwhelming for that individual identity to cope with. And the identity as an observer of awareness in reality is beyond what we can currently explain. We are unable to allow the program to self-destruct. We must carefully feed the information into the program, and the stem cell in the bone marrow is doing exactly that.
Okay, I get that. I get that.
I get the feeling that we're going to discover that stem cells aren't just in the bone marrow and not just in embryos. I get the feeling that they will appear, you know, like they used
everywhere
to...
in the physical body.
Yeah.
Yes.
They used to think that neurotransmitters were just in the brain, you know, like
Right.
chemical transmitters,
Yeah.
dopamine and serotonin and all of that.
Yeah.
And they've now discovered that your whole body has receptors for these chemicals all over, you know, so on every organ of your body.
Right.
So, you know, they've moved from understanding that thought, memory, emotion is in the brain to understanding that it actually occurs all the way through the body.
Okay.
And I get a feeling, like, well, we've just got a yes to it, that stem cells will appear, will be discovered. And I think that it feels to me like that's going to be the point at which we realise our own, the body consciousness's ability to be completely healthy at all times.
We will recognise our own creative consciousness in awareness of true identity beyond the physical body, yes.
Okay. I remember that, again, going back to that rapper Nipsey Hussle, he said that nothing is lost, everything is there to be rediscovered and remembered. So this is something that we all know anyway. And I remember when I was younger, when I was about 6, I don't know whether I said this in a session, I don't know whether I just said it to you, that I remember when I was about 6, I was watching a documentary on World in Action or something like that, and they were talking about junk DNA.
Yeah, you mentioned it in a previous recording, I think.
Right, and I just remember thinking, poppycock.
Poppycock.
There's no such thing as junk DNA. So that which they referred to as junk DNA, are we going to have more understanding about that as well? Is our freedom in junk DNA, or that which has been described previously as junk DNA?
All genetic mutation is being given for purpose of experience of it, as the physical body manifests as a fish in a water. When the idea began to look at the sand and say, hey, I choose to walk upon that sand, the thought was not only the progenitor of the experience, but the idea itself drove the genetic transmutation to allow that to occur.
Right.
However, this is not one end of a string and another end of a string. The genetic mutation itself allows the mind itself to develop further, and so forth. The cyclic awareness of the creative construct is an important discovery that will be made in future once the understanding of the link between genetics and the physical body and mind are fully explored. There is no limit to what the identity can do within this planetary system. But whilst the idea is held that the physical body responds only to external stimuli and to internal genetics, we will simply explore only as an identity within the mind body. When the external stimuli is resolved and no longer identified with, and the internal genetics is understood intellectually and no longer identified with, but simply used as a physical tool to experience further, the internal awareness of conscious being, the energetic form that we truly are, expands into the all and everything consciously, and we begin